Right, okay, so this is going to be, well, let me first move this on up here. Let's go. Boink, boink, boink. So this is the exact protocol, method, system, whatever the heck you want to call it, that I use for my clients. I'm not going to give you any fancy schmancy words and jazz of that. This is how I get my clients to track calories. Here's why, what that means. It's just going to give you the whole gist of here's what you should be doing with your nutrition, whether you want to gain muscle, lose body fat, drop the belly, lose the moobs, whatever it may be, you must get this part right, as it just won't work. And it took me 8 years to figure this out, okay? Straight into it. If you don't track your calories, you are relying on guesswork, or if you're following a strict set meal plan, that's not going to last forever. You're going to stick to it for a few weeks. You might lose interest. You might fall off. Someone might invite you out for a meal. You might have a meal with family and friends. And you're like, well, I don't want to bring a tub of chicken and broccoli with me, so I guess I'll just eat what they're having, and then you can eat it and feel guilty. Whereas if you're tracking it, a lot of the times you actually fit it in and make it work. And it just gives you a lot more control, freedom. It gives you the perspective and choice of how do you want to approach it. Do you want to eat whatever you want, go over your calories, and then adjust it throughout the week so you're still on track? Or do you want to save your calories for the evening? If you're tracking it, you have those choices, you have that flexibility. And if you have that flexibility, you can fit things in that you enjoy. You can also stay on track for a lot longer. So of course, why track? Why bother? In a minute, I'm going to show you like a real basic crappy graph, because my graphic skills are not my specialty, but they don't need to be. I'm going to show you exactly why, because you need to be specific with your numbers. If you're way over, you're going to gain weight. If you're way under, you're not going to be very healthy. And again, it does come down to being sustainable. A lot of people say, dieting shouldn't be sustainable. It's to get a specific result. And I agree with that. But once you get that result, you don't want to lose it. You need to be able to maintain. You need to understand how food works. Okay, I'm going to break down how this works and exactly why, and then I will talk you through how I go about setting it up so you know exactly what to do. There's no point making these videos if it's not practical and applicable to what you're doing, right? Otherwise, it's a waste of time. So, why track? I'm going to say it straightforward. It guarantees progress. If you need to eat a certain amount of food and you're not tracking it, how do you know you've eaten that exact number every single day? Once you gain muscle, once you lose body fat, once your body changes, the amount of calories your body needs on a day-to-day basis will gradually change. So if you're not making those adjustments, you're going to plateau and hit a wall. If you're trying to enjoy certain foods, if you like a bit of a drink on the weekends, if you like a pizza here and there, if you drive past McDonald's quite often and you feel like you need to go in there, if you're tracking, you have the choice whether you want to fit that into your diet or not. Fun fact, actually, today I had a McDonald's breakfast for the first time in 6 months, I want to say. Stupid amount of time frame. I drove past one and I thought, do you know what? I really would like one. I'm up early enough to get one. I'll get one. I had a sausage McMuffin, I had a hash brown and a cappuccino. Tracked it all, came to about 600, 700 calories. And the moment my daily calories are really low, they're around 1,600. And I made that fit, no problem. I came home, had some chicken breast, had some chicken skewers, some shakes, some other bits and bobs. Point being is I was able to fit that in, not feel guilty about it. And because of that, the diet doesn't feel like I'm on a diet. It's a lot easier to manage that way. Okay. Also, it just means that the bottom line is you just make progress. If you just eat random food, you're going to eat good foods, bad foods, and feel bad for it. It just gives you so much more control. So, see, this is why the camera's down here. Look, see. Right. So here is an example of my experience with and without tracking. So on the left here, I believe I was around 20 years old. I started training when I was 14, but my nutrition was the main thing that I was terrible with. I did have protein shakes. I did eat sort of chicken and rice and all the typical stuff you'd have, sweet potatoes, brown rice, started eating like tins of fish. I just had all literally the fish and the rice cake kind of thing, right? So I've been training for a while at this point. Training was actually really good. It was something I was really interested in. So I did do a lot of research into it. I did train very hard, but as you can see, look, there's nothing going on. And if I'm honest with you, back then I thought, my arms are growing, bro, because they were actually way, way smaller than what they are there. I need to find a photo before then, but it didn't take many that time because I wasn't happy with how I looked. So I made very, very, very little progress. You can imagine how frustrated I was going to the gym, putting in the effort and training quite well, actually. I was really interested in it. I learned a lot about the mesocycles and systems and overloads. But I looked like that. So, and if I said to someone, hey, I went to the gym, they're like, oh, really? How long have you been going? I'm like, about 5 to 6 years. They're like, huh? What? So, I got quite annoyed with that, obviously. I did one point almost consider giving up because I got so fed up and not looking like I made any progress. The only reason I stuck with it is I did feel better for it mentally and physically, and I did somewhat enjoy it once I had the momentum rolling. And I was also very stubborn. I thought, I'm going to figure this out. I have to get bigger and stronger because I don't like the way I currently look and feel, right? What was the determining factor that went from this to this? And to be honest with you, I went for the majority of this was achieved in the first 9 months. Now, there's a few years between these photos, of course, but I gained most of this size within 9 months of tracking. Okay, so over here, over here I actually gained a lot more than 40 pounds, but once I started tracking for 9 months in, I gained 40 pounds. As you can see, it's very lean. The confidence with my ability to gain muscle was so much higher because I was tracking, so it was, again, guaranteed. And I say guaranteed because it's a simple math equation, energy in versus energy out. If you don't get that right, you're not going to get results. If you get it right, it's guaranteed. It's simple as that. There is no, what diet shall I follow? Oh, I'm going to cut out the crap. Some people say, I'm going to cut out the sugar in my tea and it might lower the calories. It's like 16 calories for 1 teaspoon. Like, I burnt that in this fucking presentation. Do you know what I'm saying? So tracking is so powerful. It just guarantees everything, right? So here is an example of my clients. I generally don't work with anyone unless they're willing to track. That being said, Alex over here is now intuitive eating. Now, the good thing about tracking is it teaches you so much about your food, your habits, if you're eating too much or too little, if you're getting too many carbs, not enough protein, if you're getting enough fiber. It really teaches you firsthand about your food and your habits and your preferences and what that adds up to. Once you've done it long enough, you can intuitively eat, which just means eat, but you're educated in your mind, so you're like, cool, I'm gonna have this, because that's gonna add up to this. You sort of know it by default, right? So you can get to that point. That is my goal with clients. There are actually 4 phases to my coaching, and basically by the end of it, it means that you've got your results, you're locked in forever, so you're never going to lose your progress, and you can eat more to sustain your physique, plus you can intuitively eat. So Alex has basically been there, completed it. To be fair, same with Reese. He's done really, really well, but he still tracks because he enjoys it and it just gives him that confidence. Plus he wants to get bigger and stronger. So right now he's tracking. Okay, but this is an example of tracking. Just for context, this was about 6 to 9 months. There was a few bits, we did have the lockdown at the time at the start of this, but this is about 6 to 9 months. This is around a year. This is 1 year. Oh, this is actually, Alex lost this amount of weight in a year, but then she got even leaner after this. This is like probably a year and 3 months. Again, this one is about a year and 6 months. Again, I have got photos of Reese. He has dropped basically the same amount of body fat in 12 months, but then we went for like a deep shred to really bring in the details in his muscles and improve his strength. Okay, but I like to give the context because some people, train and exercise for like 3-4 years, hope they're getting somewhere. They look at their progress photo, they see like an inch off their waist and think, okay, cool, but then it normally generally shows that if they were to track in that time frame, it'd be absolutely night and day difference. So here's how it works. Really crap graph, I know, right? But it gets to the point. And to be honest, most people do presentations like this, don't even do graphs. They just have text and just blabber on, right? Kind of doing the same thing. Anyway, so just to make it really simple, I know this is common sense, but I do find that visually it just helps, right? Maintenance, surplus or over, deficit, okay? The reason it's important is everyone's maintenance is at completely different numbers. My maintenance at the moment is around 2,700. Okay, if I factor in any exercise, it's actually a lot higher. So I can eat a lot of calories and stay the same weight because of the training I've done for my life, right? Whereas, so if I need to gain muscle, I need to be eating like 3,500. And then when my body gets used to that and I'm gaining more strength, more size, I'm going to have to increase that number. And if I'm not tracking it, I don't know what number it is, how much to increase. And people go, oh, just eat big, get big, bro. I've done that. I used to eat loads. I used to have 12 meals a day at one point just because I was like, right, eat big. I eat as big as I can. Felt horrible. My digestion was terrible. My body took a massive hit. I was tired. I was lethargic. Felt like crap. I had loads of breakouts. I was so stressed about my food and my meals. And I just got fat because I ate too much of a surplus. You want a healthy amount either way, okay? I'll break that down near the end of the video, these more to the specifics. But, you want a healthy surplus, a healthy deficit, not extreme. Okay, same for here, right? If your maintenance is, say, 2,500 calories, then you might want to eat around 2,000 calories. So you want to make sure you're below it. If you're not tracking and you're hitting your maintenance a lot, you're not going to get anywhere. Okay, people go, oh, what if I burn it off? your maintenance is factoring in the exercise generally. So everyone's got these different numbers, so it helps to know with precision so you can track and be correct. If you want to lose body fat, you must be in a deficit. If you want to gain muscle, you must be in a surplus. If you're maintaining or in the wrong spectrum, you're not going to get progress. It doesn't matter what the fucking trainer calls it. They can go, oh, this is a muscle building, fat burning workout. There's no such thing. Your diet will determine the response from the workout. Okay, so that is a visual representation of where you want to be and why it's worth tracking, because everyone has a different number. Like I said, my maintenance is around 2,700. Yours might be 2,000. You need to know that, and then you need to know whether you're eating to gain or eating to shrink or lose body fat. Then we need to know what numbers that is. Okay, and these will change over time, and that's also part of the plan. You want to increase your maintenance so that you can eat more food and not gain weight. So if you don't track, you haven't got a clue, mate. You know, oh, you can go, I'll go by feel, I'll go by mirror. Your food could be like this. Right? Even though I've tracked for so many years, I've tracked since I was, well, I think I was around 20 when I started tracking. I'm now 30. So I've tracked 10 years on and off with breaks in between, because you don't have to do it forever, of course. And even though when I think I'm eating the same calories and then I add it up, it's quite often I'm off, because you need to know. It's like, for example, today, like I said, I had that McDonald's. I've eaten quite well today. I'm actually full and satisfied. And my calories are lower than they were yesterday when I ate more healthy meals. Okay, some of the healthy meals you have might still be the same calories as something like a McDonald's, so it's really helpful to track and see. If you don't track, it is guesswork, and if you're putting in all this effort, training your ass off and hoping for progress and you're not sure if you're going to get it, you're probably going to lose interest. You're likely not to get the result you want. So take 30 seconds to log your food. Okay, how to set it up. Now this is a little bit tricky. Okay, it's simple, but the reason it's tricky is the format we're doing this in, right? So there's the formula. Okay, let me move me out of the way, right? Go on then, go ahead. Right, now this is a bit of a faff, and there's a few formulas, okay? What I normally do is use a calculator online that's been set up with this equation to make it easier for you. So what you can do is, what we're trying to calculate is your current BMR, okay? So that is basal metabolic rate, how many calories your body needs to sit still and exist. That's it, okay? Once you've got that, you then factor in what you do. Are you active? Do you walk a lot? Are you training? What style of training? How many days a week do you train? All these kind of things. Then that's going to give you your maintenance, and then we adjust it based on whether you were trying to gain muscle or lose body fat, right? So you could either just pause this and then, you know, type this in now based on the numbers you have, okay? Or I would just suggest go to Google, put in BMR calculator. I think, is it Harris Benedict? I think that's the guy that named the equation here. I'm going to find out for you. Okay, so the one I recommend is www.calculator.net. Okay, so if you Google BMR calculator and then go to calculator.net, that'd be the one I recommend. And then use the, where is he? It doesn't even say who made this one anymore. But this is the, if you get your PT qualification, they normally teach you this equation, right? Some people know it, it's quite common. Some people might not know it. This might be entirely new, but this is very important for you to learn, okay? So Google it or use this equation. Okay, once you've got your number, okay, you then want to make the adjustment based on who you are and what you're doing, right? So if you're sat on your bum doing basically nothing, you're going to take your number and times it by 1.2. If you're lightly active, 1 to 3 days, you know, you can read it. It's all there, right? For me, I sort of bounce between these two. I generally underestimate it so that I am not, you know, putting this in thinking I've got loads of calories to eat and then skip a workout and then I'm actually overeating, right? So I normally go by here because I normally train 3 to 4, maybe 5 days per week. Most of my clients will do 2 to 3 workouts per week. They're normally generally quite busy. So then you times it by that number and then you get your end number, right? So once you've got your number, you need to determine specifically whether you're going to go on a bulk, which is gaining muscle, gaining size, gaining strength, but you will gain a small amount of body fat because you're eating more food than your body needs. Or are you going to go on a body fat loss, get toned, as it were? Now, the reason I'm making such a big point of this is a lot of people I speak to will say, I want to get toned, I want to get big, I want to lose some fat, I'm going to gain some muscle, I want to lose some weight. They're trying to do everything at once, and that is not possible. Can a complete newbie, a complete beginner to the gym, lose body fat and gain muscle? Yes, but they need to be in a calorie deficit regardless to achieve that, okay? So you need to make sure, if you're looking in the mirror and you take your shaft and you go, right, what are we looking at here? If there's body fat on your body that you don't like and that you want to get rid of, start there. Even if you're like, but my arms are small, I want to get them bigger. If you're new to this and you do this right and you track, you will still gain some size in your arms. even in a calorie deficit at the beginning. Okay, it's newbie gains, it's new territory, you've still got some new adaptation to make. If you're absolutely shredded and you're like, I just need to get bigger, then we go for the bulk. Okay, you can always do the cut, then go on a bulk. The best way to start a bulk is very lean. Okay, then we've got the macro ratio. So you've got your calorie target, which we would have worked out from now. What makes up your calories is your macronutrients, simply put, protein, fats, and carbs. So everyone's going to have a different ratio depending on performance, demands, all that kind of stuff. And I will go through that in just a moment. And to make things really easy, we can use an app to track your calories. Now, most of you have probably heard about MyFitnessPal. That is one I recommend because it's got a big database. It syncs up with lots of things. In fact, all my clients have MyFitnessPal synced up to the app that I deliver training and coaching through. So it's all in one place. We see their meals, we see the ratios, we can see every single day and see other targets and be really, really deep dive into their nutrition. But for right now, figure out whether you want to bulk or cut. We'll set up the ratios with your numbers and then use the app to track it. So macros, here they are. You've got proteins, fats, carbs. I've taken this from bodybuilding.com. It's very vague, very basic. There is an exception to every rule. You don't have to follow this idea, but it's a good recommendation, okay? So generally speaking, the rule of thumb is if you're bulking, you have more carbs because you have more glycogen, more energy for bigger, better performance to really grow and build muscle. If you're maintaining, you need a sufficient amount. And if you're dieting, you generally want lower carb, and there's nothing wrong with carbs. Please understand that they will not destroy your progress. You could easily have a 50-50 split between the carbs and the fat, right? But if you've got less carbs, your body's going to burn through them quicker, and then your body can start to burn through stored fat if you're in a calorie deficit. But because of that, if you're not eating as many carbs, you need a little bit more protein to make sure that you're not using protein as energy. So if you're in a calorie deficit and you're eating low carb, then your body starts to burn body fat, it can also burn muscle. So we need to make sure that the protein is a little bit higher so that if we do use protein for energy, you've got enough protein for recovery and maintenance of muscle. Okay, so these ratios are quite important. As you can see, the protein's quite high. And this again is because people don't track and they have no idea if they're hitting their targets or not. And most of the time, they're not. And most of the time, they're not hitting their protein. So it's really important to get this right. This is why I'm making this video so long, because this is what I needed 8 years ago, well, longer than 8 years ago. This is what made me get the best results of my life. And this is something I apply with my clients. I go through it one-to-one, customize it with them, adjust it with them, review it with them, keep them accountable and help them hit the numbers and give them meal plans to fit them if they need to. Because this is the game changer. This is one of the reasons my clients get such good results. Not only do they get the support and obviously the custom training, and there's a lot more that goes into it, but this, because I do not negotiate on this, this is the best part. If they get this right, it's guaranteed. Okay, so we can use this in MyFitnessPal. These are the rough ratios you want to go for whether you're bulking, cutting, or maintaining. Okay, so hopefully that is everything covered. Now, if this is a bit overwhelming, that I apologize. I hope it should be a little bit simpler for you. If you would like me to help you one-on-one with that, let me know. You can drop me a message at my Instagram at Elite Transformation Project on Instagram. You can email me at elitetransformationproject@gmail.com or wherever you're watching this, and there may be a comment box or whatever. Just drop a comment there saying coaching. Message me coaching, email me coaching. What we do is we'll have a chat about your current progress, where you're at, what you may need help and support with. And if we need to, we can jump on a call and then we'll see if we're a good fit for my coaching program. Okay, but if you have any questions or you got a bit stuck with this or you're not sure, feel free to message me. It's not a problem. I will try and help you the best I can. Hope this helps, and I plan to do a lot more videos like this. So if you're on the email list or if you're on my Instagram, keep your eyes peeled for more golden nuggets.